So Lewis Young begins a special report tonight. Are the skinheads violent racists or, more innocently, young people in rebellion? Lewis?
Well, the answer is complicated, Bill. The skinheads emerged in England more than 20 years ago. Young, working-class people looking for a means of self-expression among the hippies and rockers of that time. The movement lingered through the 70s, taking on a tougher, more violent edge, and they have been in New York for the best part of the last decade. Lately, a racist skinhead minority has gained national media attention, and many skinheads are saying, no, that isn't us. We decided to take a look.
It's a working-class movement that's politically aware. I enjoy the style, I enjoy the music. It's something that I fit into.
A very rainy Sunday in New York, and we have come to CBGB's here on the Lower East Side because the skinhead movement is built essentially around a special kind of rock and roll music, a kind of rock and roll music that is performed here. And we come on Sunday because Sunday for skinheads is Thrash Day. The skinheads are drawn to the angry power of punk rock music and display their appreciation of it by thrashing about on the stage and dance floor. The music articulates a rage that all skinheads seem to share, but few seem able to put into words. The shaved heads, the polished steel-tipped work boots, the skinhead style, all provide a refuge and a vague code of conduct for a small segment of our alienated young.
We believe in using our fists and our feet and our boots, our bodies. We don't believe in going around with guns and everything, because that's not really the skinhead way, you know?
Pete is one of them. This 21-year-old Long Islander was worried about losing his job when I met him. He doesn't expect to be treated fairly. Most skinheads don't.
I'm just angry at, at everybody because the way they treat me. Why should they have a right to treat me differently? Because I'm not the rich people, because I'm not as rich as them, the poor people, because I'm not as poor as them.
So being a skinhead gives Pete something to feel a part of, something to belong to. And it is worth noting that skinheads collectively view themselves as victims of society. A popular symbol, in fact, shows a skinhead on a crucifix. You see it on T-shirts, on car bumpers, on tattoos.
Lift up your shirt, man. It's me, actually, crucified.
What does crucified Pete mean?
That a lot of the public just crucifies me because of the way I look, because of my tattoos. They crucify me.
The skinhead world is rife with symbolism, and some of it is chillingly familiar. Some skinheads, mostly in places outside New York, have become neo-Nazis and white power advocates. This variation on the skinhead theme has taken root as close as Trenton and Philadelphia. These skinheads have found a focus for their anger, a scapegoat, and a new type of racist rock music that glorifies hate. The English group Screwdriver is a favorite.
The American people really want blacks here. If they could get them out, would they really want them here?
They don't have, in my opinion, rights anyway. So I don't object to 4 people beating up a guy.
Here in New York recently, I sat with 3 skinheads who object to the racists and the Nazis. One of them, you will note, is black. He is also a little angry about all this white power talk.
If we don't stand against them, because it seems nobody else is doing anything about it, we'll die for it. That's the way we feel about it.
This skinhead agrees and says you can usually tell racist and Nazi skinheads by the swastikas on their bodies and clothing. A German cross, he insists, is a more benign symbol with no racist or anti-Semitic overtones. And if you see this tattoo or symbol, you are dealing with a special brand of skinhead, a straight edge. A skinhead Nancy Reagan might even learn to love.
I don't do drugs, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I don't mess around. I don't hang out in the streets. I don't bother people.
And that's all part of being a skinhead?
To me, that is part of being a skinhead, yes.
Now, you may want to debate the point about whether shaving one's head and getting tattoos is an appropriate means of self-expression, but there is no debate over the fact that many young people who claim to be skinheads are simply not racists. Having said that, however, we point out there is a danger to contend with. Established hate groups are trying to convert skinheads to their own way of thinking. Tomorrow, we'll see some of the more disturbing early warning signs in our area and meet some local skinheads who say they're ready for battle with this new menace. A possible violent clash in the offing. That's tomorrow on Eyewitness News at 6.
So the news we hear about them seems to say the skinheads are racist and violent. But last night, in his special report, Louis Young told us that picture is not complete, that not all skinheads are racist and violent young rebels. Still, in his report tonight, Louis talks about the dangerous side of the skinheads. Lou?
Well, Bill, it's estimated there are at least 2,000 of them nationwide. We're talking now about racist or neo-Nazi skinheads, people who have adopted the shaved head lifestyle of a skinhead, along with the philosophy of groups like the Ku Klux Klan and White Aryan Resistance. They have gained a lot of national media attention lately, and they have popped up in quite a few places, and there are at least a couple of them in our town.
You got to come down to my level.
He's a skinhead with a definite point of view. Ken Hill of Inwood, Long Island, dismisses many of the people we showed you yesterday as kids looking for a style. Real skinheads, he says, are from the lower or lower middle classes, and they work hard and they love their own kind. But most importantly, he says, they are always white. You're a skinhead.
Yeah.
Consider yourself a racist?
Yeah.
Anti-Semitic?
Just a racist.
If Ken Hill hasn't embraced anti-Semitism yet, there are groups out there trying to change his mind. Established hate groups in this country consider the skinheads ripe for conversion to their causes. This man, Tom Metzger of the San Diego-based White Aryan Resistance, calls skinheads his frontline troops, roaming the streets, making the world safe for white people.
You've got an angry lot of white kids across the country that are being squeezed out with affirmative action and so forth, and they're reacting, and sometimes there is violence.
The Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith tracks hate group activity in this country and says Metzger's appeal to skinheads is having an effect. Racial attacks like the recent murder of an Ethiopian immigrant in Oregon, we're told, is part of a pattern. Skinheads are being blamed. And in Florida, 16-year-old Dean McKee's hair had grown out by the time he was brought to trial, but he was a skinhead when he stabbed a homeless black man to death. He was sentenced to life in prison after the state took the case to a jury.
To Dean McKee, the man was a nigger. This was a killing for killing's sake.
Closer to home, white power skinheads have formed organized groups in the Trenton and Philadelphia areas. And just this month, 3 skinheads were arrested in Manhattan at a PATH train station for beating up a Bayonne man and threatening his family. The victim says he objected to their racially charged language. 2 of the defendants are from Philadelphia, but one, 22-year-old John Cook, is from Nutley, New Jersey. That, in part combined with a sudden outburst of anti-Semitic vandalism in Belleville and Oakland, New Jersey, has the Anti-Defamation League convinced racist anti-Semitic skinhead activity is moving in our direction.
This movement has spread around the country into parts of the country where there have not necessarily been hate movement activities in the past. We have received allegations, tips, if you will, of racist skinhead activities in New York City, and we are currently in the process of investigating them.
But here in New York, racist skinheads are running into resistance. Bruce Kreitman is one of the organizers behind Skinheads Against Racial Prejudice. He's Jewish.
We got people out there that are phonies, that are taking our appearance away and trying to, move into our movement, and they think they're gonna wipe us out, but they're not gonna do it.
In Greenpoint, Brooklyn, we found Bruce's picture hung in effigy outside a skinhead hangout. They call this place the White House. Most of the white power skinheads who like to come here, we're told, are now in hiding. Gypsy told me at the door that the people here are reluctant to talk because, he says, the Jewish Defense Organization, or JDO, is after them.
The JDL are not really nice people, you know what I'm saying? And they've done stuff to this house before.
Jewish Defense?
Yeah.
This, I'm looking at this stuff posted out here.
It's a joke.
It's a joke?
Yeah, I'll put it up there.
I mean, is this white supremacy thing a joke, or is it?
No.
That's not a joke. No. That's real?
Yeah.
Ken Hill, of course, also believes this white power stuff is real, although he confirms that it's tough getting an organized hate group going in New York City.
There's just too many people, too many ethnic backgrounds. But, in the future, who knows? Philadelphia didn't just happen overnight. That came about, over a period of time.
So you're hopeful that you can form something here in New York?
Yeah.
I talked on the phone recently with a racist skinhead organizer in New Orleans, and he also said New York City is posing a tough organizing problem. So the hate groups are out there trying to sell their message. They have targeted